What up, guys? Another Adonis review. Today I am going to be doing Red Matter 2. I have it for PSVR 2 on the PS5. I think this is a good game to do. I am excited to do PSVR 2 reviews. I feel like the future of VR 2 is really being pushed with the PlayStation 5, and it's only going to be exciting stuff that they release, and this is a great example of kind of the future and the possibilities. So let's kind of go over the positive and negatives. Typically, I would start off with what Red Matter 2 is about, but even I don't really fully know what the fuck happened in this game. As far as I can tell, you're like an astronaut guy, and you fucking are in space, and you have to figure out what happened to some base you were at, or find somebody, and you have to like find these clues around a space station to figure out whatever the mystery is. I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, but that's essentially the long and short of it. You're going into a space station in space and finding clues and stuff. So anyway, so we'll go with positive and negatives. So first we'll go into the positives. This game has by far the best graphics I have seen. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying that the graphics in particular are better than, let's say, Resident Evil 8 or Horizon, Call of the Mountain, or whatever. Because honestly, Resident Evil 8 is a phenomenally graphic game. It looks amazing. And it truly is like the pinnacle of like what a good VR game should be. It's a great game whether you play it in VR or not, and it looks fantastic in VR. It's like, why can't all games strive to be at least that? But the best way to explain why this game looks so good, and it's probably the best VR game I've seen so far, is because it has like a clearness to it that I didn't really know existed, honestly. There's a lot of times while playing with the VR that you'll be playing a game and there'll be kind of a blurriness, or kind of like you can't center it up the lenses or something like that, where you feel like it's blurry because you can't get it exactly right. Or maybe it's blurry just because that's how VR is, right? And just when you convert it, there's going to be parts that are blurrier than other parts. And this game truly shows that that's not the case. Apparently it's the game. I saw something for the Switchback game that said that they were working on making it less blurry and stuff, and that makes sense to me now playing this game, because this game looks pristine, and every area you go to is just perfect. Nothing looks blurry, like it's an exact perfect looking game when you're in it. And now I understand, when I play a game and it looks blurry, and I'm just like, well, maybe it's because the lenses are off in the VR, and it's not nothing to do with the game. It is. Maybe it's just too much. Maybe I don't know how it happens, but this game truly does look perfect. So like I said, Resident Evil 8 and Horizon both are beautiful, high fidelity graphical games, and this one is too. But this one has a kind of like polishing of the edges, I would call it, that I've never really seen before in VR, and it gets me excited for the future. Truly puts you in this world that you're in, and it puts you right there in front of it, and it makes me think of the future of VR and what could really be held. Of one day being able to do, who knows, even just like Google Earth, and being able to be in any location like you're actually there. I mean, this is kind of literally like putting your helmet on, you're in that location now in a way. So it is really nice, and that's one of the greatest things about it. So graphically, like I said, great game. Story-wise, it's all right. Like I said, I didn't really follow it, but I mean, there's combat within it. There's puzzles within it. So you do get a good amount of stuff to do within the game that kind of keep you occupied. So kind of converts it into the negative, with that being said, in that it is a pretty short game. It's probably like 4 to 5 hours, and if you've watched any other reviews, you typically don't get your gun in this game, and you only get one gun that shoots a standard laser, and you get it like halfway through your play. So the first, like, let's just say if it's 5 hours because you take a leisurely pace. The first 2.5 hours you're kind of solving puzzles and walking to the base, and looking around at how great everything looks and outer space and all that shit. And then fucking when you get 2.5 hours in, you get a gun, and now you have space combat every now and then. Now, there's not a big variety of space combat. Like I said, you have one gun, it shoots out one laser, and the variety of enemies are basically non-existent. There's basically a robot that's like an eye that floats around that can shoot lasers at you, and there's a robot that has like a more of a body-ish type robot that can shoot at you. And that's the combat you will face as those. And they are few and far between. So, there's not a whole lot of that happening. So that's it. I mean, that's kind of the long and short of this game. It looks great. It is one of the best games you'll see. It's 5 hours, which isn't too long and isn't too short. There is a good amount of little puzzle stuff in it, and there is a good amount of every now and then combat, but it's not too much. But that kind of goes into the benefits of PlayStation VR 2, which is what I appreciate. I don't know what its price tag everywhere else, but this game starts off at a price of $25. Which isn't unreasonable, and that's how a lot of PSVR 2 games I see are. A lot of them are starting off at 25 or even 15. So it's not a crazy admission price to get into the park. It's the best way to put it. I mean, I can understand. There's a lot of games that are not AAA. They get released on the PS5 or PS4 or any console that they charge full price and they're 5 hours. This is an amazing way to see how great the PSVR 2 is. It's it's not the most exciting game in the world, but it gets by. It was cool to see it. It's especially cool in VR 2. There's not a lot of stuff to do, and this is something that I would say is definitely worth looking at if you have a VR 2. It's not expensive to play, so like if it goes on sale, which I'm sure it will, you could probably easily get it for $15 and $10. And is this 5-hour game worth $15 for sure? Is it worth $25? Sure. Is it exciting and the best game you ever played in your life? Probably not. So if you're not like super into VR or something, maybe you want to wait for it to be like $15. But if you want to kind of increase your VR 2 library with a decent game, $25 isn't too much to pay. I say it's worth looking into. See the graphics, play the game, solve the puzzles, shoot some people. It's not too much for admission. I don't think it's too bad. So I think it's worth looking into. I think it's a great example of what games have and what we'll see in the future. I feel like VR 2 is just getting started with games, and I feel like out of all companies that are working with VR and whatnot, they're the ones backing it the most with trying to provide the best content to really add stuff to do with VR rather than just keep on increasing VR with nothing really to do with it. So I think it's worth a try. If you do end up getting it, let me know what you think, if it was worth it or not. If you end up playing it and you feel like it wasn't worth it, and you think it, you'd only recommend if it was $5 or something, let me know as well. But overall, I think it's quite a beautiful game, great graphics, and you get good enough for what you paid. Later, guys.